There are 5 places on Earth where people routinely live past 100, not occasionally, not as statistical outliers, but in meaningful, measurable numbers: Okinawa, Japan, Sardinia, Italy, Icaria, Greece, Nicoya, Costa Rica, and Loma Linda, California. Researchers call these places blue zones. And for 2 decades, scientists have been studying them, asking the same question: what do these populations have in common that the rest of the world does not? The diets are different, the cultures are different, the climates are different, the languages are different. But when researchers analyzed 154 dietary surveys across all 5 blue zones, one food appeared in every single one: not olive oil, not fish, not vegetables, beans, and the average blue zone centenarian was eating roughly a cup of them every day. If you are over 60 and beans are not a regular part of your diet, this video might be the most important nutritional conversation you have had in years. Not because beans are trendy, not because someone is trying to sell you something, but because the evidence for what beans do to the aging body across 4 separate systems, simultaneously gut health, blood sugar, muscle, and brain, is more consistent and more compelling than almost any other single food in the research. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly what beans do for each of those 4 systems after 60, and 5 simple ways to eat more of them starting this week. Let's start with the Blue Zones research because it is the foundation. Dan Butner, working with National Geographic and supported by the National Institute on Aging, spent years identifying the 5 regions where people consistently live the longest in the best health. In Okinawa, Japan, soybeans in tofu, miso, and edamame every single day. In Sardinia, Italy, fava beans and white beans appearing at most meals. In Nicoya, Costa Rica, black beans at breakfast alongside almost every meal. The analysis of 154 dietary surveys across all 5 zones found that 95% of people who lived past 100 ate predominantly plant-based diets, and beans were the common thread in all of them. Butner's research concluded that people who eat a cup of beans a day tend to live about 4 years longer than those who don't. 4 years from 1 cup of beans. And a 2023 meta-analysis covering more than 1 million people found that each additional 50 grams of daily legume intake, roughly 3 tablespoons, was linked to a 6% lower risk of early death from all causes. So, what is it about beans that produces this kind of effect? Beans are unusual in doing something almost no other single food does. They benefit multiple body systems simultaneously, often through different mechanisms. Let me walk you through each one. Your gut microbiome, the community of bacteria living in your digestive tract, changes significantly after 60. The diversity of beneficial bacteria typically declines with age, and lower gut diversity is associated with increased inflammation, weaker immune function, and slower recovery from illness. Beans are one of the richest sources of 2 specific compounds that your gut bacteria depend on. Dietary fiber, particularly the soluble kind in beans, acts as a prebiotic. It feeds the beneficial bacteria and helps them produce short-chain fatty acids that reduce inflammation throughout the body. And resistant starch, a type of carbohydrate in beans that your small intestine cannot fully digest, travels to the large intestine, where it becomes one of the most effective fuels for gut microbiome diversity. Research published in a peer-reviewed nutrition journal found that dietary pulses beans, lentils, chickpeas, and dried peas have the highest proportion of fiber among food groups and are among the most effective at reshaping the aging gut microbiome toward healthier composition. Blood sugar regulation becomes more challenging after 60 for reasons that are partly physiological and only partly about diet. Insulin sensitivity, your cell's ability to respond to the signal to absorb glucose, declines naturally with age. Beans have a remarkably low glycemic index, meaning they cause a slow, gradual rise in blood sugar rather than the spike and crash pattern of refined carbohydrates. This effect comes from both the fiber content, which slows digestion, and the release of glucose into the bloodstream, and the resistant starch, which bypasses the glucose absorption process entirely. For seniors managing prediabetes, insulin resistance, or simply trying to keep their energy stable across the day, beans are one of the most practical and effective tools available, and they cost a fraction of most prescription interventions. We covered sarcopenia age-related muscle loss in an earlier video. The central challenge for seniors trying to fight muscle loss is hitting their daily protein targets consistently at every meal. Beans are a surprisingly effective tool for this, though most people underestimate them as a protein source. A cup of cooked lentils contains approximately 18 grams of protein. A cup of cooked black beans contains around 15 grams. A cup of chickpeas delivers about 15 grams as well. These are not complete proteins in isolation, they are lower in certain essential amino acids than animal sources. But combined with grains, dairy, eggs, or small amounts of meat, all of which are common at the same meal, they provide a complete and substantial amino acid profile. Adding half a cup of beans to a meal that already includes a small portion of animal protein can meaningfully increase the total protein content of that meal without increasing saturated fat, cost, or preparation time. The 2025 Dietary Guidelines Advisory Committee, the expert body whose review we discussed in the last episode, conducted a systematic review of dietary patterns and cognitive health. Their conclusion was specific. Dietary patterns characterized by higher intakes of legumes and beans are associated with lower risk of age-related cognitive decline, mild cognitive impairment, dementia, and Alzheimer's disease. This adds to the mind diet research we covered in episode 8, which identified beans as one of the 10 food groups recommended specifically for brain health in aging. This is not a single study. This is a convergence of evidence from multiple independent lines of research arriving at the same food. Before I show you exactly how to use this, a note for anyone with specific digestive conditions. This is for educational purposes only. If you have irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's disease, or another condition where high fiber foods have caused problems, speak with your doctor or dietitian before significantly increasing beans. For most healthy adults over 60, beans are extremely well tolerated. But your gut history matters, and starting gradually always helps. Here is exactly how to get more beans into your week without overhauling anything about how you cook or eat. The simplest version: tin beans, tin chickpeas, black beans, lentils, cannellini beans, kidney beans all have essentially the same nutritional profile as dried and cooked from scratch. The sodium content is higher in tinned versions, so rinse them under running water before using, which removes most of the added salt. Then they are ready to eat. 5 ways to add them this week. None requiring a new recipe, add half a tin of chickpeas to any salad. Stir a tin of lentils into any soup or stew you already make. Replace half the meat in a chili or bolognese with kidney beans. Mash cannellini beans with garlic and olive oil as a side dish or a spread on whole grain toast. Add black beans to scrambled eggs at breakfast. None of these are recipes, they are additions. They take under 2 minutes, they require no new skills, and they can be done with ingredients already in most kitchens. Here is the one sentence that matters most from this video. Beans are the single food most consistently associated with longevity across every long lived population on Earth, and the research on what they do for gut health, blood sugar, muscle protection, and cognitive function after 60 is more consistent and more affordable than almost any supplement. The action is simple. Aim for roughly half a cup to a full cup of beans or legumes at least 3 to 5 days a week. Tinned is fine. Dried and cooked is fine. Chickpeas, lentils, black beans, cannellini, kidney, all of them count. Hummus counts. Lentil soup counts. Dal counts. The people eating a cup a day in Okinawa and Sardinia are not doing anything complicated. They are just doing it consistently. That is what this channel is here for every week. Not fear, not complicated protocols, just the specific, verified information that your body can actually use. If this helped you today, subscribe. Every week, I bring you one thing that makes your good health decisions even better. Before you go, we have now spent 11 videos covering what your food does to your medication, your muscles, your brain, your sleep, and your longevity. Next week, I am going back to something most seniors deal with daily. Inflammation. Not the kind you feel after an injury. The kind that sits silently in the background for years, quietly contributing to joint pain, fatigue, and the progression of almost every chronic condition that affects adults over 60. And there is a specific group of foods that research links to measurably lower levels of this background inflammation. Most seniors are not eating nearly enough of them. That is next week. Don't miss it.